What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sikora Success. Today we have Kennedy. Is it Barreto? Barreto, right?
Barreto. Yep.
All right, I should have asked you that before we went live, but welcome to our mastermind. Thanks for coming back. Kennedy is a newer licensed agent that came into our world, came into our family, thankfully, and has had a ton of success so far. So, Kennedy, how did this come about? I mean, what were you doing before you got your real estate license, and then what made you decide to get it?
So, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Super excited for this. So, I think a little bit of background because it all ties into how I got into this. So, my parents are first generation immigrants. So typical that we all know what that story means. They worked as hard as they possibly could, and I saw them struggle financially, and so I knew from a very young age that I wanted to create something of my own. I wanted to work for myself, own a business, own a skyscraper one day. I don't know where that dream came from, but
it's not a bad one to have.
Right. So even like with the school side of things, like I was never really into school. I went to college for a year, 2 years for business just to learn, how that works. And then from there, I was a dance professional.
Okay.
And I got into that industry for two reasons. First, I knew that women loved the guy who knew how to dance. And second, the way that business is structured is it's very similar to real estate in the sense that the more deals you do, the more you get paid, right? Okay. So on the dancing side of things, the more you taught, the more money you made. So I was in control of my own paycheck, which has always, appealed to me. And then I was just shy of 10 years. And that took us to the end of 2019. And, things were just falling apart. I wasn't passionate about it anymore. And my wife was pregnant and we were expecting. And I just knew I couldn't be there anymore. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I was like, this is it. I have to cut ties with this and just find what's next for me.
Yeah.
I had people call me crazy, like, kind of, your wife's pregnant. What do you mean you don't know what you're going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I know two things. I know everything's going to be okay. And I know that there's something out there for me. I just don't know what it is yet.
I feel like, at least for me too, and in that regard, like I feel like when a life change starts to come in, it's when you're kind of thinking about life in a slightly different way too. And I feel like that has a lot to do with, like, you're like, do I want to do this for the next 10 years, or is this a good opportunity to reinvent how I go about this whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And people were telling me that too. They're like, oh, your life's going to change when you have kids. I'm like, yeah. But then when it actually happens and you're living it, it's like it smacks you in the face and you're just like, oh yeah, okay. Wow. So then, they were born Valentine's Day of 2020. So that whole year I was just, I was picking up small jobs, just picking up anything to make an income. And then the beginning of this year, I had a friend who was in real estate school, and my wife and I had previously talked about like real estate investing and trying to create a life for ourselves where we have passive incomes and that whole conversation.
Yep.
And when I found out that my friend was getting, going to school for it, I was like, you know what? That actually sounds really cool. When I was in the dance industry, the company I was for was like, the Mercedes-Benz of the dance industry. So I was around affluent clients from all walks of life. So I enjoyed the finer things. So even, thinking about getting into luxury homes one day, and like, I personally enjoy that lifestyle. And I was like, that'll be awesome if I'm able to get into that, start taking people into these types of homes. And I was like, I could really be good at this. And, super thankful for my wife, because she was like, do it. Of course it was a scary time, but she believed that, like, she believed in me. She allowed me to dive into it. And from there, as I was like, that's it. I'm quitting the job that I was at. And I was like, I'm going full time. I did it in 2 weeks. I banged it out. And in that time frame, what I did was I started reaching out to a whole bunch of agents, like on Instagram.
Yep.
From, Keller Williams, Remax, Caldwell, EXP.
And just real quick too, so we know, is this like spring of 2020 that we're in now, or are we okay?
That was, I started my class in April of this year.
Okay, cool.
And then I think I was officially licensed in May, like the beginning of May, by the time everything actually went through.
Yep. So reaching out to the bunch of agents on Instagram.
Yep. And then I reached out I found Tara. So I shot her a DM and, I asked everyone like the same questions. And she was the only one out of everyone that I messaged to actually lend a helping hand. She was like, hey, let me connect you with people on our team. Let's have a meeting so, we can answer any questions you have. And that's how this all started. She connected me with Eric and Jason. We had meetings and I was like, this sounds good. And then I started doing my homework on the team itself. And I was like, there's something here. And I could tell, because usually with other teams too, what I found was usually you have like one or two heavy hitters and then you have everybody else.
Yeah.
And once I started figuring out and finding out about our team, it wasn't like that. There were multiple people. And even just between those three people, Tara, Eric, and Jason, even while I was doing my course, I was like, hey, when do I do fingerprints and things like that? And they were more than willing to, answer my questions. So I just knew there was something special there.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And that's kind of how it all started.
Now you came on, weren't you an individual agent for like a month or so? And I apologize because that was right when I had my socks knocked off by my first baby when this was all kind of happening. So I was easing back in to work because, like you said, people prepare you for it, but you are not prepared for what really happens, and I'm still recovering from it. So you'd come in, you went individual. I think Eric was mentoring you for a little bit, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then from there, decide. I mean, was there a struggle there? Was there anything like what made was it the whole Jason, like getting to know those people that kind of made you jump into the whole team side of things?
Yeah. And I knew, I just knew that you can only go so far on your own. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what business you're in, there's a ceiling you're going to hit. Yep. And, when you're a part of a team and you have these different people there with you and they're helping you elevate. I've always believed on the team side of things.
Yeah.
Cause I knew I'm going to be able to go further with the team than I ever could on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, just, the way that they were, the idea that, I could have people supporting me and vice versa, that I can also help support other people. It's always attracted me.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's, as far as the struggle side of things, yeah, starting as a solo agent, I think I like dove into YouTube or something or somewhere. I saw a video of you. I don't know what year it was. But you're like, one of the things we always tell new agents is like, go through your phone, go through your contacts, go through your Instagram, your Facebook, and message everyone. Yep. And that's literally what I did. I reached out to all my friends and family. I was like, hey, I'm doing this. If you know anything, know anybody, please let me know. And there was nothing. No response. It was like, oh, great. Good to know. Good luck. but there was nothing that came from it. So, it was just in the beginning, especially getting into this industry, like something for the newer agents is just keep that in mind that even if you come in day one and you have a client day one, you go under contract day one, on average, it's going to take 45 days until you get paid. So that's a month and a half, assuming you get something on day one. So It's just planning ahead and knowing that coming in. But I would say that was a struggle, is getting the ball to begin to roll. Yeah.
And then I feel like from there, I just started seeing Kennedy on the deal sheets. Kennedy. I'm hearing from Omar, like a lot of success. Fast forward, I think I want to say you joined our team probably July-ish or something. Am I right?
Yep.
And then I think by October you had like 4 closings already. And it just kind of, do I have the dates right? I feel like and then it just kind of started rolling a little bit from there, right?
Yeah. So my very first close wasn't until October. Okay. And then from October to now, I've put 10 under contract from October. One of them fell through after like inspections, and that was a big one too. So that one stung. But yeah, I've put 10 under contract since then. I have 2 closings today, actually.
Nice. Squeezing them in before the end of the year.
Trying.
But that's incredible because that's like, it was what we were talking about with Brianna last week too. And that's not to like toot my own horn, but what we were touching on in the beginning, what we've developed here is I think right now we have 16 agents earning, a decent amount into the 6 figures within our organization. And it just keeps happening. Like what you're doing, it's like you come in, if you've already done 10 deals and you kind of just started, it's fairly easy to say that you'll do 30 or so at like a minimum in 2022. And we'll get into that. I mean, tell me a little bit about your goals, but it's like, it's so cool to see you hopped in, you kind of just followed a plan, followed a system. You just do, you like take action, right? And ask questions and don't worry about, what hypothetically might happen. It's like, let's create the problem and then decide if we're going to go right or left once we get to the problem, rather than thinking about the problem before the problem's a problem. Yeah. But like, what are the goals for 2022? I know you mentioned you have the interest in the luxury side of things, and we're going to start playing there. But yeah, where's this going for you?
So for me, you were actually spot on. So I created my 2022 goals right around October. And even though I just started, I was like, well, I still need to plan ahead. So my original goal was 30 deals. I have an income goal attached to that too. But now, with the luxury conversation starting to come up, that's something, as I mentioned before I even got into it, it was something I was interested in.
Yep.
But now that it's actually part of the conversation, that's now going to be plugged into my goal. So I have to like revamp it a little bit.
Yep.
But that's where I'm at right now.
And what I would say too with that is look at the luxury as like an additional pillar. So try to figure out where you can, and we'll obviously have the mastermind right after this too. We're for everybody who doesn't know, we're launching a whole luxury division within our group. So that's going to be super exciting. Your $1 million plus, $7 million, $14 million sales. We have Ed Longley from New York City, who recently joined our team and has participated in some massive transactions. So we're going deep into that. But I would say like shave off 2 hours, 5 hours a week, 1 hour in the morning or something like that to dedicate towards that. And then don't alter that 30 deal plan. Just think of it as like almost two separate businesses. And this is going to be a part of this,
Right.
So
absolutely
cool. So yeah, what would you say, actionable takeaway for either a new agent or experienced agent, that they can, kind of start implementing right away?
So I have two thoughts about this one. First, it's, based off of the quote, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. Right. So I think the very first thing is creating a goal for yourself. Now it's not just a goal, but it's goal with a meaning and goal with meat behind it, where if you don't hit that goal, you're going to feel a certain way. Or if you do hit that goal, you're going to feel a certain way. But even bigger than that, it's breaking it down to a quarterly goal, breaking it down to a monthly goal, to a weekly goal. So it's actually attainable. I know you say it all the time, but people overestimate what they could do in a year, underestimate what they could do in 5. And I feel like, when you're really excited, you throw whatever your income goal is or your transaction goal is. It's one thing to have it. It's another thing to actually plan to get there. I think that's one, whether you've been in this business for 15, 20 years, you still have to have a goal. Or if you're brand new, you also have to break it down into bite-sized pieces. And I think the second thing is surrounding yourself with people that's going to push you to become a better version of yourself, and that are going to be there for you, when things aren't going the way you want it to be, or if it's, you're hitting a rough patch, force yourself to be with people that's going to elevate you to a higher level. And I think those are probably my two biggest things.
No, those are both huge. And I feel like too, like when agents, I see these peaks and valleys all the time too. Like I actually would say those are like my two, you quoted me in it. I was like, you stole my two ideas, but like I see the peaks and valleys because agents are like, oh, I tried this and then it didn't work. So I stopped doing it. I called every person I know. I shot a DM. I did this, and I didn't get a result at the end of it. But like, I know you're going to go do it again in like a quarter, and you're going to reach out to everybody one more time, and you're going to keep, and it just becomes a thing. And so many agents give up on all those little things. And what I want you to, I want the agents to look at is, what are you going to do every single day that's going to move you forward and closer to what that 5-year plan is?
Yeah.
And that's how I always, like, I actually tell everybody now, I'm like, I'm 7 years out. Everything that I'm doing is 7 years out from now. 7 to 10 years out. Like, I'm playing in and trying to set up my life, set up my world in a way that I'm that far ahead. So like the today things that are happening, I really focus on that vision. I go, and I move towards it. And same with the agents too. It's like, Do the daily action today that's going to get you to where you want. That's going to get you that skyscraper. Going to get you the multi, investment properties that throw off passive income that you can then give to your children and they inherit it and live whatever life they want. Like I always tell people, I'm not making money for me. I'm making money for my kids. I'm building wealth for them so that if I grew up without money, it doesn't mean that they had to.
Right.
And then on the other side of that too, I'm never the smartest person in the room. I'm really good at never being the smartest person in the room. And I always try to be around people that like, who can I, and now EXP is super fun because I'm around Dan Beer and I'm around Kyle Whistle and you have access to them. And we're all just playing in this like elevated, I was on a mastermind yesterday from 3 to 4 with John Cheplack, who like only coaches the highest producing real estate teams in the world. The guy charges $3,000 per coaching call. So there's fortunately I didn't have to pay that. Thank you, Dan Beer, for setting that up. But there's just, you really have to just be around people that are going to get you to where you want to go. And that's the good thing within, our group too, is like you have 16, 18 agents, 25 agents that are doing more than you are today.
Yep.
And you're going to go knock them off. I have absolute certainty that you're going to be hunting them down nonstop. And that's what's fun too. And that's what really separates the agents from selling the average of, what is it, like 6 homes or 8 homes per year or something like that. Yeah. Whereas our agents are more, targeting that 30 and above kind of thing. That happens because you guys are not, grouping around, or linking up around a water cooler, just talking about how hard that one deal is or how this and that. You guys are just moving, you're looking at the sheet at the end of the month and at the end of the week that Darren's shooting out. And it's like, cool, I want to get on that list. I want to be at the top of that list. So, dude, I appreciate you hopping on. Service areas. If a client wanted to reach out to you, where are you located? Where's your ideal business?
So I've been doing a lot of business in Morris County, parts of Somerset County, out in like Basking Ridge. Bridgewater is going to be like a big focus of mine come 2022. Parts of Union County as well. So that's kind of like my service area.
Okay.
And as far as reaching out to me, there's 2 main ways. My email, Kennedy@sellwithsikora.com. And then my personal number is 908-705-4010. But always, whether it's an agent or a client, like I always try to get back, as quickly as I possibly can. And actually, I was just thinking about that too. When I reached out to people like through Instagram and stuff, we just had a meeting with one of my friends a week ago where she reached back out. She was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting my license. And, I answered her right away, set up a meeting. I'm here to help whoever wants to, either get into the business or has any questions or is in the business and, just needs help. That's what I'm here for. I want to help out and grind as much as I possibly.
Definitely, man. And yeah, to that point, there's a lot of, if you're an agent out there, if you're struggling, or if you're an agent, even if you're selling 100 homes per year and you want to figure out how to sell 200 with less effort, give Kennedy a shout. He'll connect you to the right people. And if you're a client looking in those areas, northern, southern, north or south of 78, essentially is kind of like where you're going. Then definitely give him a shout on that side of things too. Any last thoughts you can think of before we wrap up?
I think that's it. Just, hit 2022 hard. Just hit it hard, dream big, put big goals, put a plan behind those goals and just go for it.
And just do it.
Just do it,
man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. I can't wait to see what you do in 2022.